I'm sure we all have a pair of sneakers in our closet just bopping around, waiting to be worn for the summer season. I think the sneaker is such a ubiquitous shoe for summer. I thought I would share some ideas for you to shop your closet, use what you've already got so that you can style your sneakers maybe in ways that you haven't thought of already for the summer season. I have two pairs of sneakers for you that we're gonna be working with today. The classic all white sneaker, and then I've got what can only be described as a textured sneaker. It's got a little bit more of like a vintagey kind of vibe. Let's style some sneaks. This is a very unexpected look for me, mostly just because of the dress. The first big element that I think sneakers can do to any outfit is really either ground a look or give it a little bit of that like sporty edge. So in this case, we're mixing styles, which is a really popular kind of styling hack that people do when they want to create a look that feels a little bit interesting. And I think when you want to add sneakers to something that traditionally feels fussy or romantic or, you know, not sporty at all, it can be kind of hard to balance. But I think this works because the chunkiness of the shoe balances everything out with the dress. The dress is still really simple, but there is a lot to it in terms of the volume and the poofy sleeves and the silhouette. So I think a shoe, like a sneaker like this, can be worn with a lot of these little like romantic dresses. It really just kind of makes it feel less fussy. It still feels like a very minimal and kind of pared down look. So the shoe almost grounds the dress in a way. The purse on this will be a conundrum. I think actually I don't mind this. I'm like quite shocked. So this is what I would do here, but let me show you what the other sneaker does. You see here, this sneaker has a little bit more to it. There's a lot of texture. There's a little bit of black. It's got more of a vintage vibe. It's really leaning into the whole like sporty athletic wear thing. So I think it adds a bit more of a sporty edge rather than grounding the look and making it feel harmonious. So here we're really feeling the tension between the two styles of sporty and romantic. I would do something like this. I've come to realize that this purse is just too wide. It's too big for me, but I wanted to show it to you because I think it works beautifully with this sneaker. It's a little bit understated. It's not another layer of tension or something we have to look at because it's harmonious in terms of the color, and it's pretty like nondescript in general. So if you want to kind of keep the focus here on the sneaker or like that punch of tension on the sneaker, this is what I would do. Ideally, this bag would be the puzzle, but in this color. There you go. This is why I'm saving up for the puzzle in this color. And I would also just change my hair to something a little bit more sporty because the other way it felt like way too princessy and there was just, it was kind of throwing off the sneakers. Okay, so under normal circumstances, this is an outfit formula that I would wear in the summer all the time. This can still feel a little bit fussy, right? Because of the cute little sling back. I wanted to show what this would look like with a sneaker, and I would go with the all white sort of low profile sneaker because there's a lot of elements that are already happening here in this look. I want to use the sneaker as a grounding neutral element instead of adding another styling element in the mix. I really want to keep it like harmonious. So all of a sudden I've taken my regular outfit formula and just by switching out to a sneaker, but there's still enough tension, and this purse works really well also. We're trying to like see how balanced this is. We've got the casual denim short with the casual kind of sporty sneaker, and then 4 parts polished if we're breaking it down that way. The next big element that comes into play when you're styling your sneakers are proportions. Because sneakers have so much sort of visual weight, they're a little bit bulky, especially when we're looking at like the lighter, daintier pieces of summer. So if you are wearing trousers, whether it's like a lighter denim or a little chino or that kind of thing, I think the best thing to do is to keep the silhouette of the trouser a little bit off the body. If you like to wear your skinnies with sneakers, that's awesome. I'm just gonna show you that in just a minute. But you see how it feels like there's a lot more ease when you're pairing it with these kind of not so skinny ankle, and it balances out the weight of the shoe when we've got something off the body. That works with a little sort of vintage sneaker as well. So again, you see here how we've got that nice sort of balance. The trouser isn't super skin tight. We've got a lot of nice breathing room, which balances out the visual of the sneaker. A lot of us have accumulated a slip skirt or a slip dress, so I really wanted to show this. The midi length is always a little bit tough to pull off when you've got something really chunky on the bottom, but this is where you just kind of have to own it. I think the idea of clothing that has to be flattering is like a little bit archaic and outdated. Just wear what you love and what you feel good in and what feels comfortable. In complete contradiction, I don't love it when my leg is like chopped up into too many bits. So what I like to do if I'm wearing the midi is make sure, again, I've got that off the body silhouette so that the proportions are still balanced, right? Like I've got enough volume in the skirt to carry the weight of the sneaker. I like to wear like more of a monochromatic look. I like seeing like long lines, so I'm keeping that just by making this white as my grounding color. And then I've also kept the waist a little bit high here so that my legs do look nice and long. A bag with this. I think this is okay. No, I don't. I do not think that is okay. Yeah, honestly, I need to get a puzzle in tan. Let's pretend that this is tan. Actually, the navy doesn't look bad. Look how good the navy looks also. So there, this is what I would do. And I'm gonna show you with the other sneaker. This one is a little bit more interesting, so it does add a little bit more of that sporty element to the look. I also find the fact that there's a lot of white in both of these sneakers and white in the rest of the outfit also makes it so that the white sneaker isn't so jarring and visually distracting. It still feels nice and easy and minimal and harmonious. But here the proportions again, I think, are about having this off the body silhouette and off the body movement so that it equalizes the heft of the shoe. The optimal proportion though, in my opinion, for a sneaker is the wide leg pant. I just love the juxtaposition of styles. So like how you have something like really sleek and elegant and tailored with a sneaker, I think is the coolest thing. But also just like the visual. I love how the sneaker can really hold its own against such like a billowy, voluminous pant. The reason why I went with the textured sneakers just with this ensemble is because these are so stark and white. This is already pretty basic. These are both matte. Like there isn't too much of a texture play or any other interesting elements going on here, so I thought the visual weight of the sneaker, but also like that little texture play and that hit of like really more leaning into the sporty edge. We already have a very grounded and simple and harmonious look happening, so the shoe just gives it a little bit more interest. Purse, I mean, can't go wrong. You just can't. With shorts, I think it literally just depends on the type of short that you want to wear because it's going to be mostly leg anyway. I prefer shorts that sit high as a hemline and have, again, a little bit more off the body. And again, it does balance out the weight of the sneaker, but you could go Bermuda, you could go like cut off, you could go biker short if you want and really lean into the sporty vibe. It's totally up to you. We're seeing so much leg here that proportions are kind of a non-issue with shorts, but I wanted to show that to you and let you know that anyway. So with the skinny, the easiest way to balance out the proportion, that heft of the sneaker, is to make sure you've got something a little bit more voluminous or boxy on top. That way we get that nice visual balance if that's what you're after. But because I've got so much white happening up here, I would go with a sneaker that has a bit more visual interest, like the textured sneaker slash something that has a little bit more of a point of view versus the like grounding, very simple, low profile, all white shoe. It just adds a little bit of interest. It makes the look feel a little bit more considered and less color blocky. I know we're looking at like a lot of layers here. Chances are you won't be wearing your skinnies into summer, but on a cooler day, maybe you will. In the evening, maybe you will. Just wanted to show you all the options, you know? This isn't necessarily about proportions because much like the shorts, if you are a wearer of short skirts in the summer, then you have the same sort of principles of just having a lot of leg and not really having to worry about proportions so much with sneakers. So maybe this is more just general styling for short skirts. I think especially if you're looking at something like this, like a little basic mini, it looks fine the way I've styled it. This is feeling a little bit too basic. If you've got another kind of sneaker that is a little bit more textured, if you like have a proper running sneaker or like a really like full-on utilitarian sneaker, I I think that's what I would do here. You see how this makes it like instantly a little bit more updated? You see the difference between like the basic plain white and then you add a little bit of personality with the vintage, with the texture. It feels more considered and it feels more like, ooh, that's interesting. The last sort of big styling element that I consider when styling outfits with sneakers is using them as a focal point. So this isn't necessarily an overarching element of style that I talk about. It's more like a little bit of a styling hack or a styling tweak, but it's really just keeping the whole look either monochrome or, you know, you like do the Canadian tuxedo and you're really using the shoe as the one thing that stands out. It's not groundbreaking. My sneakers are still neutral, and with denim it feels very neutral. You'll notice I didn't wear a belt so as not to detract, and I even kept my purse in the same color palette as the Canadian tuxedo to really kind of make it so that the sneaker is the point of interest. And I think it works really well. So that is what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something new and that it gave you inspiration to shop your closet for looks you've already got with sneakers you've already got. If it did, if you learned something, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget also to check out my new podcast with my wonderful YouTube besties, Christina Mijas over at Minimalist-ish and Sina from Use Less. We've got a very conversational, easy podcast going. I will link it for you in the description box if you want to show us some love and rate and subscribe to that podcast. I know we would all love it. That's it from me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful week. Thank you so much for watching and for being here if you made it this far. I'll see you in the next slow fashion video. Ciao!